For months, Blake Monroe has been one of the most talked about women in professional wrestling. Ever since the former AEW star arrived in WWE, fans have been asking two questions more than any others. First, is Blake Monroe secretly dating a WWE superstar? And second, what exactly are WWE's plans for her on the SmackDown main roster? The internet has been filled with rumors, screenshots, fan theories, and social media speculation. Some posts claim she's dating someone inside WWE. Others insist she's involved with a mystery superstar whose identity is being hidden. But when you separate rumors from facts, the real story is actually much more interesting. Today we're looking only at confirmed information, Blake Monroe's own words, and the latest WWE developments surrounding one of the fastest rising stars in the women's division. The woman everyone is talking about. Before becoming Blake Monroe in WWE, wrestling fans knew her as Mariah May. She built her reputation in Japan stardom, became one of AEW's biggest women stars, and eventually shocked the wrestling world by signing with WWE. Rather than skipping developmental entirely, she embraced the NXT system, reinvented herself as Blake Monroe, and quickly became one of the brand's standout personalities. What made Monroe different wasn't just her wrestling ability. It was her character. She presented herself as glamorous, confident, manipulative, and completely unapologetic. WWE leaned heavily into that persona, branding her as a glamour, and fans immediately began comparing her to some of the greatest heel characters of the last decade. By the time her NXT run ended, it became obvious that WWE viewed her as someone destined for much bigger things. As Blake Monroe's popularity grew, so did the curiosity surrounding her personal life. Unlike many celebrities, Monroe has always been remarkably private about relationships. She shares fashion photos, gym content, travel pictures, and wrestling updates, but almost never posts romantic content. That silence allowed fan theories to grow. Some online accounts claimed she was dating a SmackDown wrestler. Others linked her to members of the WWE locker room simply because they appeared together backstage. None of those rumors came with evidence. Then everything changed during an appearance on the Nikki and Brie show. Instead of avoiding the topic, Blake Monroe casually revealed that she does have a boyfriend. It was the first clear confirmation she'd ever given publicly. She even joked that years ago she was approached about joining Love Island, but wrestling was always her dream, and eventually she found love without going on reality television. That interview answered one question while creating another. If she has a boyfriend, who is he? Here's the important fact. There's currently no confirmed evidence that Blake Monroe is dating a WWE wrestler. Despite thousands of posts across X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, Monroe never identified her boyfriend. WWE hasn't acknowledged any relationship, and no reliable wrestling journalist has confirmed that her partner is a member of the WWE roster. This distinction matters because fan speculation often becomes mistaken for news. Several viral posts have connected Monroe with different male wrestlers, but those claims rely entirely on coincidence, backstage photos, or fan edits rather than verified reporting. So the truthful answer is simple. Yes, Blake Monroe is in a relationship. No, her boyfriend's identity has not been publicly revealed. And no, there's no confirmed report that she's dating a WWE superstar. Part of the confusion comes from Monroe's own personality. She's naturally charismatic, playful in interviews, and comfortable teasing fans without revealing much. That makes every interaction with another wrestler feel meaningful, even when it's completely innocent. WWE has also intentionally protected her mystique. Rather than presenting Monroe as a traditional babyface, creative has emphasized confidence and unpredictability. She rarely explains her motivations fully, which encourages audiences to speculate about everything, from alliances to rivalries and even relationships. It's the same storytelling style WWE has successfully used with stars like Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio, where fans constantly debate what is real and what is storyline. With Blake Monroe, however, her romantic life remains firmly outside WWE television. While dating rumors dominated social media, something much bigger was happening behind the scenes. For months, WWE quietly teased Blake Monroe's arrival on SmackDown. Short cinematic vignettes began airing during episodes of SmackDown, each ending with the words "coming soon." The glamorous visual style immediately made Monroe recognizable, even before she appeared in person. Those videos weren't random. According to multiple WWE reports, Monroe had already finished her major NXT storylines, and creative had begun preparing her transition to the main roster. Instead of rushing her debut, WWE chose to build anticipation. That decision says a lot about how highly the company views her potential. Many fans wondered why someone with international experience didn't debut directly on Raw or SmackDown. Ironically, reports suggest Monroe actually embraced the NXT route because it allowed her to establish the Blake Monroe character before reaching a larger audience. And it worked perfectly. Her feud with Jordynne Grace became one of the defining women's rivalries in NXT. What started as an alliance quickly became betrayal, with Monroe turning heel in dramatic fashion and proving she could carry emotionally driven television. That rivalry showed WWE executives something valuable. Blake Monroe wasn't simply another talented wrestler. She could tell stories. In modern WWE, that's often even more important. Now the biggest moment has arrived. WWE has officially announced that Blake Monroe will compete in her first televised in-ring match on. This isn't just another call-up. It's a statement. Main roster debuts are carefully protected because they introduce a wrestler to millions of viewers who may never have watched NXT. WWE's decision to give Monroe a featured televised debut shows significant confidence in her future. For Monroe herself, it's the biggest opportunity of her WWE career. Creative plans are always subject to change, but Monroe's character fits naturally into the SmackDown women's division. She's stylish, she's manipulative, she's verbally confident, and she's believable as both a villain and a future championship contender. Rather than immediately chasing a title, many analysts believe WWE will first establish Monroe through high-profile rivalries that allow her personality to shine. Possible directions discussed within wrestling circles include renewed tensions with former allies, fresh rivalries with established SmackDown stars, and eventually entering the women's championship picture once audiences become invested in her character. Wrestle Talk. Notice what's missing from that list. Romance storylines. Everything currently points toward WWE presenting Monroe as a serious competitor rather than defining her through a relationship. Another reason Blake Monroe has become so popular is her image outside the ring. Her recent social media posts generated enormous attention after fans praised her glamorous fashion and confident presentation. Those photos went viral across wrestling communities, with thousands of comments celebrating her unique look. But what's interesting is how closely that mirrors her wrestling persona. Unlike many performers who separate their character from real life, Monroe's public image naturally complements the glamour. Fashion, luxury, aesthetics, confidence, and elegance all reinforce the same identity WWE presents on television. That's powerful branding. It makes her instantly recognizable. And it helps explain why WWE appears determined to position her as one of the faces of the next generation. The women's division is incredibly competitive. Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and several other